Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to the channel. Today we got another cool video for you guys. Gonna be doing another install on the Civic. Today we've got the PRL Turbo inlet pipe. This thing is fucking gorgeous. There goes the end there that attaches to the turbo. It is beautiful. The inlet pipe is right here. Can't see it too good because it's still in the rubber wrap. I'm gonna keep it that way because it won't go on for a little while, so just want to make sure it stays safe. So it's gonna stay in there. Got my handy dandy amazing Red Bull. Gotta love that stuff. Got my toolbox. Got the hoses. Got my little bzz, bzz, just to make shit a little faster. Comes with some hoses there. Gonna be replacing the OEM ones that are on the OEM inlet pipe, and of course all your good little clamps to make sure everything stays together. But shouldn't be too hard. I've already done this a couple times as far as taking the inlet pipe off. So we're gonna take that off. Just basically take everything off that's attached to it. So the intake here, take both ends off actually, because this is gonna be no bueno no more. Because if I'm not mistaken, my new one's gonna go there. This little guy there. And then no, wrong side. This one goes over here. And then the bigger one is gonna go here. So this guy is getting replaced with this guy, the big one. So we'll be taking that out. Won't need that anymore. Taking this guy out. So I'm just gonna unclip it from here since we don't need this. I'll probably leave that there. Now I'll probably just take it off. Screw it. This has to come off. Let's see what else. Actually, this just has to come off of here, the inlet pipe. I'm gonna leave that on actually because PRL gives you a whole new one there. So I'm gonna leave that on and just take the ends of the hoses off. So take this guy off here, follow this hose, and take this guy off of here, and just leave it all assembled. There's no point in taking it off here when I can just leave it there, pull it all out at once. So I'll probably do that. Got all these sensors gotta take off. Gotta take this hose off just because it's in the way of pulling this guy out. The big guy there. And then there's another 10mm here holding the inlet pipe down. And then of course the 4 screws that hold the inlet pipe into the turbo. And of course you gotta take off also the, what's it called? The intercooler piping. So I'm gonna go ahead, take all that shit out, and then we'll go on to the next step. Alright guys, so we got the OEM inlet pipe out. That's out of the way. Now it's time to put this guy together and put it into the car. Now first what you want to do is, around here, you want to put in the 2 supplied O-rings. So put that on there first, one on each. They're 2 different sizes so you can't mix and match them. One goes on one and the other on the other. So put that there, and then we can go ahead and slide this onto the turbo. And then after it's on the turbo, we're just gonna do the bolts for it. We do have to take the blow-off valve plate here off the OEM one, so actually I'm gonna do that first. Take that off, and then put it onto the new one, and then we'll go ahead and put it into the on the turbo. And just a quick note: you are gonna use the OEM little bolts here to put the blow-off plate back on to the new inlet pipe, so don't lose them. Okay guys, so we're now on day number 2 of the install. Last night I kind of ran out of daylight, so we're gonna go at it again today. I had one little problem I noticed when installing the inlet pipe, that the base that mounts to the actual turbo, it fits good. It's a very tight fit though, being that I have the W2 turbo and that's oversized compared to the OEM, and that's kind of made to go on the OEM one. So the fitment is very, very tight, at least to try to get the bolts into it. It's really hard to get to. So definitely, you know, watch out for that if you have the W2 turbo. If you've got the OEM turbo, it'll be probably easy. And then the PRL provides you with 1 long bolt, the one I showed earlier, for the top of the bracket, or whatever you want to call that thing, the curvy part of the inlet pipe. But to go into the W2 turbo, the hole I guess isn't as deep as the hole in the OEM turbo because that bolt is too long. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have to just cut the bolt, make it a little shorter, that way I can make it work. So I'm gonna go ahead and work on that, and then we'll go from there. Okay guys, so this is the bolt right here that I ended up cutting to make it shorter. It worked fine, got it in there. Quick tip to get the bolts underneath here on is the AC line is actually going to be in the way. So what you want to do is this little bolt right down there, you want to take that off and it'll move the whole AC line. You can move it around. You'll want to have somebody help you if you can. If not, try to push this down as much as you can just to get it out of the way, because right there, this hose, this line is completely in the way of you putting the bolts onto the inlet pipe here. So you want to make sure you get that out the way. That'll make your install a whole heck of a lot easier. Then after you put them on, just put your AC line back on and put your intercooler hose back on, and then we can work on the rest now. This is going to be easy part. It's just the rubber hose there with clamps, the titanium inlet pipe, and then the other rubber hose with clamps. So let's get to it. Okay guys, the inlet pipe part that goes onto the turbo is already on, nice and tightened down. I put this hose on. This was pretty simple. Just squeeze it on there, and then you got a little clamp up here also. You want to put that to the top. Put this clamp on. I did have to take out the little oil dipstick here out just to get enough clearance, and then I pushed it back in, but as you can see it fits fine. It doesn't rub on anything. And then if you're looking through the inside, you got these little markings here that you can tell if your hose is in enough or not. So just make sure you push that in all the way. So now for the titanium part here, which is this little guy. This is gonna go on, but first there is a piece off of the OEM one that you need that's gonna go on here. It's a little rubber spacer washer type thingy. So let me put this down. Okay, so on here, on the OEM one, this is the piece that you need. And to take that out real quick, it's pretty simple. Let me set you guys here on the tripod real quick. Okay, so with this, what you want to do is get yourself like a flatheader or something similar, and there's a little metal washer in here. You want to take that out. You're going to push it from this side and just kind of push it through till it comes out the other end. You want to pull that out. That's what that looks like. So just pull that out. And then this little rubber here, you just squeeze it and pull it out of there. There you go. And then basically to put it on the new one, you're just going to do the opposite. Squeeze this in there. So you got your titanium inlet pipe. You take a little rubber washer there, and you just squeeze it in. There. Now it's in place. Then you take your metal one, and you just push it back in like the other one was. And there you go. Now you can put it back on the car. Alright, so now I just squeezed it on here onto the rubber hose. And this is what it's going to look like. Here you got your OEM bracket again. That's where you're going to put one of the bolts into to hold it in place here. And then I just got to put the other rubber hose, which is this guy right here. That's going to go there real quick. And then almost done. Okay guys, so this little guy goes in like this. You want the end here sticking straight up, because it's going to go onto this hose. And then straight back to here. This is the hose that PRL gives you. And then the other hose is going to go from the top and here down to the intercooler piping right there, like that. The only thing is they don't give you little clamps to put them on there, so you're going to use the OEM ones, which I've already taken off. It's these guys right here. So you're going to need these little clips from the OEM hose, and this came off of the inlet pipe here. These are the two hoses that you're replacing. This whole little thing is actually looks familiar to the PRL one. So you want to take the hoses off and keep the little clamps, and use that on the new PRL hoses. And I'll show you that what that looks like here in a second. Alright guys, so this is what it should look like. Got the L-shaped hose coming from the red part here, straight down into it, and then the other one straight back and down onto the intercooler piping. And you got little clamps on, so it's all good to go. So now I can go ahead and tighten up all my clamps. This guy here, this one here also. I can tighten that up, and then we'll move on to these, because I still got to put the hoses here. From this one's gonna go from there to there, and this one's gonna go from there down here. And then this guy is actually gonna have to get undone too. Got to take this plastic off because it doesn't fit anymore, it's in the way, and we still gotta be able to plug in our sensor over here. So we gotta undo this, and then I'll show you guys how that goes. PRL gives you a nice little bracket thingy, little zip tie type that you can put onto here to hold the cable in place and out the way. So we'll do that next. Alright guys, so I got everything all tightened up as far as the clamps go over here through the top. Got all of them on there. One thing I did is I pushed these guys as far back as I could. The little ends that screw it, you know, to tighten it up. Push that to the back. This one right here I put to the back completely, just so you don't see it. Gives it a nice cleaner look. And then these up here you definitely want to push back and don't want to have this up top because it can scratch up your hood. So you don't want to do that. This piping, remember, is a lot thicker than the OEM one, so it's sticking up higher. So you want to give as much clearance as you can on here. So push these back. They're still easy to get to. They're right on top, not hard to get to. So, but yeah, push them back so that way they don't end up scratching up your hood, and you won't have any more problems with that. Now we're gonna go ahead and do this little guys here. These two hoses. That'll be quick. It'll be just like the top ones up here. Just put them on. Use the original clamps again, and I'll show you guys that here in a second. Alright guys, got it all done, buttoned up. Got all my hoses put back. Figured this all out. This was very hard to put on, these little hoses, or at least the hoses went on okay, but the OEM clamps, these little guys, were just a bit too small almost. I had to really squeeze the crap out of them to get them to fit on there on the top and on the bottom. So just keep that in mind. It can work. As you can see, I put them both on. It's just very tight, so you gotta squeeze the crap out of them. So make sure you get a really good set of pliers that you can get some leverage on. Some long ones would be preferred. I use these guys here, they're pretty long ones, so I was able to get some good leverage to squeeze it pretty tightly. But yeah guys, it's on there. I just gotta clean up this engine bay because it's dirty as hell, but I love it. It looks awesome. Can't wait to test it out. I know all this looks really close to it, but it actually does not touch. It's got clearance. Even the hose here has clearance. It's not rubbing, so should be good to go. I don't know. Shit, look at my crazy ass hair. I don't know if I'm the first one to put it on a W2 Turbo. Might be, but you can definitely tell it was not meant to go on a W2 Turbo. It was definitely meant for the OEM Turbo. I'm sure it'd be a heck of a lot easier with the OEM Turbo. But yeah, it worked. Just had to modify, like I said, that top bolt, the one that PRL gives you. Just had to cut it, make it a little shorter, and it worked fine. It fit right in. And then, let's see what else did I have to do. And that's pretty much it. Back here, actually, where these hoses go onto these lines here, I did have to bend them back a bit so that the rubber hose here would clear the inlet pipe. Because if not, it was coming right up to it, so there wouldn't have been any way for me to put the hoses on. So I did bend these back out so that there was some clearance to come around. So keep that in mind if you have a W2, or maybe a W1. I don't know if it's, you know, what the big size difference is between the two, but I did have to bend those backwards. Not a big deal. On the OEM Turbo, you probably don't gotta do any of this. I'm sure it all fits nicely. This was a tight squeeze here again because of the W2 Turbo. This wastegate actuator is pushed back more, so there's less room. So this was actually not how it's supposed to go, originally planned with the OEM Turbo again. But you can make it work for sure. It definitely fits with a little bit of moving around some stuff, but it does work, guys. So if you're okay, you're pretty handy, and you're alright with moving things around and bending some stuff and this and that and cutting the bolt, which I used the grinder, by the way. I just used the grinder to cut it off, and then put a little nut on it. Put a nut through it first, then grinder it off, then took the nut out, so that way it would unthread nicely. So if you're okay with doing all that, then go ahead and buy it, you know, not a problem. Okay, so I gave it a couple of revs there, but you don't hear any more of the turbo spool. Obviously, I'm guessing that has to be on while driving, not just by revving it. But everything seems to be good. Nothing leaking, nothing touching, nothing rubbing. Well guys, again as usual, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. If you haven't already, I keep making videos on the car. I try to do one a week. So we'll see what happens next week. Until then guys, take care and have a great day.